What's up, everybody? It's John from Cap City Crown. We've already done breakdowns for Neemias Queta and Colby Jones, so the next Summer League assessment here is for the other rookie, Jalen Slawson. After being selected 54th overall out of Furman, Slawson signed a two-way deal with the Kings, which foretells that he will indeed probably play most of his basketball with the Stockton club in order to refine his game. However, with that two-way contract, injuries and missed time, as rare as they were last season for the Kings, could require some minutes of Sacramento's other second-round pick. Furthermore, his summer might offer some insight into how his development may go and what kind of player he'll have to be in order to one day carve out a legitimate role with this NBA team. So let's jump into Slawson's performance after he played all 7 games from the California Classic to Las Vegas. Monty McNair and company liked Slawson because of his defense, and looking at what he did at Furman, it's easy to see why. Better yet, Slawson further demonstrated his mettle on that end of the floor this summer. In all, Slawson did not really have the greatest summer showing, with several ups and downs, and a lot of that had to do with a slow, rocky start that was partly due to nerves. Despite all of that, and despite not knocking down a field goal until Vegas, whenever he did happen to stand out in a good way, it was usually because of his defensive efforts. As was the case in college, Slawson proved to be an excellent rotator and helper off the ball. Perhaps his most astounding attribute as a prospect was his ability to successfully chase down guys for a block, which he did a few times in impressive fashion this summer. A man could beat him with a first step, but Slawson would make up for it. He showed great awareness and instincts to help defensively and deny shots that way. And in the full court, he had a crazy chase down where he hustled nearly the full length of the floor for a swat off the glass that had to be looked at and overturned after initially being whistled for a foul. Even without blocked shots, he was terrific contributing to the interior defense. Wherever and whenever he needed to rotate, he'd do it, and he could likewise execute the fundamentals to force misses in the half court. In transition, there were multiple instances where he positioned himself to protect the middle of the floor, forcing misses and nearly drawing a great charge at one point against Minnesota. As frenetic as he was off-ball, he was a solid on-ball defender as well. Against similar-sized guys, he'd frequently force misses or passes with his commendable discipline. What was even better was that his defensive versatility appeared sound, as he occasionally guarded the point of attack and defended at the top a fair amount of the time. In addition to that, he was also applying exceptional full-court pressure. Overall, he's invested to this end of the floor, which led to some great stops and more. Based on how we've just described his defense, it's probably no surprise that Slawson looked exceptional as a rebounder as well. That's where his hustle surfaced quite plainly. He deserves most of his credit on the offensive glass, where he was capable of flying in much like some of those blocks and contests he had. He secured a lot of second chance opportunities with his contributions on the glass. As a connecting piece, which is the phrase McNair used when describing what he foresees in his 2023 draft picks, Slawson showed more promise. He ran hard in transition, threw down lobs, and even salvaged one lob with maturity and patience to come down with the ball before going back up with it and getting the and one whistle in addition. Also important was the fact he showed that he could cut, complete the catch, and finish at the rim. With all of that, he also had the right kind of aggression to attack open space when it's there, and to earn some free throws. However, in terms of playing a larger role as a more integral piece of the offense, it doesn't seem likely he will project to replicate at this level what he did at Furman. There, he was a point forward that was the leader and main facilitator of the offense. Slawson at times looked good making pushes in transition that resulted in a teammate's open shot. He has that ability, no doubt. Though, in his attempts to create in that manner, he was choppy in his execution. A lot of turnovers occurred when Slawson was doing this, including a fair amount of walks and travels, demonstrating that he may have a habit of getting out ahead of himself when looking to create. Similarly, his court vision would lead to a handful of skip passes that would produce points. But as one can imagine, if you get too comfortable with that kind of pass at the professional level, the passer is bound to turn it over more often than not. Another issue for Slawson in this regard is his weakness on his left side, which was clear coming out of college. He definitely has an ability to get crafty on the right side, or more likely, use spin moves to go from his left to his right. Sometimes that worked out, but it also created a lot of turnovers, which definitely happened during the summer league, as Slawson would either lose his footing, travel, or opt for a hasty pass that resulted in a turnover. In so many ways, when Slawson attempted to reach into his bag, it led to a turnover. Based on the susceptibility to mistakes, it's hard to imagine that Slawson, who will be 24 for the vast majority of this season, can refine his skills to translate his play style successfully from his mid-major program to the NBA. Though, to the realists in the building, that really may not be much of a surprise. But right now, he's not necessarily on the cusp of being a useful role player at the highest level either. For one, as an off-ball offensive player, his jump shooting was not all that exciting. He definitely knocked down a pair of catch-and-shoot opportunities from beyond the arc, which he has an upside in, but he nevertheless hit just 2 of 10 total attempts from 3 through 7 games. He needs to show substantially more as a floor spacer. Defense will obviously be his calling card, but even that needed some ironing out. In spite of being so disciplined both on and off ball in so many moments, Slawson twice fouled 3-point shooters. That's 2 irritating blunders repeated in a 7-game span. Taking all of this into account, it will be really fascinating to see what type of role he ends up playing for Lindsey Harding down in Stockton. Will he be that point forward? Or will he perform a role that more closely resembles what he'll prospectively do should he eventually earn a standard contract with Sacramento? Again, in short, Slawson had a mixed summer league. He seemed to thrive when his confidence was soaring, and he was at his most confident in the final contest when Kessler Edwards, Keon Ellis, Colby Jones, and Jordan Ford all sat out. But when are those kind of opportunities, when is that role going to come around for Slawson? A question to ask would be, can Slawson maintain a sufficient amount of confidence with a reduced role? By drafting him, the Kings seem to think he can, and he certainly appears capable, but at the same time, the 54th overall selection still has plenty of loose ends to tie up before he starts making an impact at the NBA level.